Good morning, folks. It's a beautiful Sunday morning here in Nevada County. Doing a little work in the Super Chief. I got most of the playa dust washed off, and I was working on my wheel landings, but I wanted to try something else this morning and see how this could work. Nevada County traffic, Super Chief taking 25, left close traffic, Nevada County. It's a nice quiet morning here. I've always wanted to attempt to fly complete flight without touching the controls. And let's get her trimmed out here. I've pretty much done it before. I've done different pieces of the flight without touching the controls, but I've never actually done a complete flight, so let's see if it works here. Let's get her trimmed out. You want to set your trim just about right when you're taking off. All right. It's a nice calm day here. Already taken a few laps around the pattern, so the Chief's warmed up, ready to go. All right, here we go. Hands off. You guys see the controls? No, you can't. That doesn't work. Adjust this a little bit. That'll have to be good enough. Let's try that. All right, we're rolling. Never know what to do with this hand when you're flying without. All right, we're wide open. Tail's coming up. A couple little bounces there, but once we build up speed, she'll start climbing. There we go, look at this. Completely hands off. All right, we're climbing too much, so we're gonna bring the power back. Now you may say to yourself, well, why aren't you flying with the trim? But most manuals tell you to control your pitch with the power if you're flying hands off. Because you don't want to get in a situation where you're chasing the trim. The trim works great, and you can climb or descend using the trim, but the problem is if you get into a situation where you're chasing it, you might not be able to crank it fast enough, so that's why you want to use your power. And power and airspeed is all you really need to adjust your climb or descent. So we're cruising along about 60 miles an hour here. If we want to go down, we pull the power back a little bit. The nose will start dropping. If we want to climb, we give it some power and away we go. Now you may ask, oh, how are you turning? Well, we're turning with the rudders. So let's work on our crosswind here. And when you're flying without the elevator, you're going to see some big swings in your airspeed, but that's okay. Nevada County traffic, just keep turning crosswind 25, Nevada County. I don't know if you could do this kind of flying with a Mooney or a high performance craft because it might be a little scarier, but you probably could. You just have to be a little more on your game. It's a beautiful morning up here. A little bit of haze down in the valley, but perfect day to go flying. All right, so we're coming around. Let's straighten her out. Oh, I got somebody taxiing or driving out down there. So as you can see, flying around like this without touching the yoke is pretty much a piece of cake. And if we were going we had a long way to travel, then we could, trim it out a little bit, get our airspeed a little bit faster if we're trying to go somewhere. But most of the time, if for whatever reason you don't have the use of your controls, you're probably going to want to get on the ground. All right. So now this landing is going to be the most difficult part. I think what I want to do is I'm going to make a pretty long downwind and keep my base and final turn I'm going to keep it pretty wide just because without the use of the elevator, you don't want to get banked over too hard because you may not be able to maintain your turn or maintain your altitude. The nice thing about flying out of a kind of a small town airport is there's nobody around. It's a beautiful Sunday morning and there's just nobody around. I bet if we went down to Auburn, there might be It's also a quarter after 7, so it's kind of early, but there's nobody at Auburn either. There's one guy working the pattern down at Lincoln. There's some activity down at Executive, but it's a pretty quiet Sunday morning. All right, so we're way out here. Let's take a look. Yeah, it looks like we're going to be pretty good. We're coming down. We're a little high. Without the use of our elevator, we're definitely going to want to come in, have a low, flat approach. Yeah, this whole time I'm just flying with my rudders down here. You know, a lot of people, when they first start flying, you know, they over-control the airplane. And you'll see them, you know, working the controls and doing all this stuff. But really, if your airplane is set up, was trimmed out, if you're managing your power, you know, your airplane wants to fly straight ahead, and it wants to fly stable. Nevada County Traffic, Super Chief, return to base 25, Nevada County. All right, so we're going to start bringing it around. So I want to slow this thing down because with the Super Chief, it doesn't have a very big trim tab, so we're probably going to run out of trim as we're coming in. So let's start trimming it up here. So what this does is it basically brings the elevator, I don't know if you can see it move or not, but it brings the elevator, it trims the elevator up so that we can fly slower with the same amount of power setting. So we're watching our airspeed here, we're about 60 miles an hour. And keep trimming it up. All right, we're coming around on final. Nevada County Traffic, Super Chief is on final 25. Touch and go, Nevada County. All right, so we're up here. I think we're actually too high. And the problem is, we actually didn't have the use of our elevator. Yeah, we're too high. If we didn't have the use of our elevator, I'd probably want to land 7 just so that, well, I don't know. I'd probably go to, if I actually didn't have to use my elevator, I'd probably go down to the valley and land on a bigger runway just so that you had more margin for error. So we're coming in, we're about 80 miles an hour, so we're cooking along here. And I've got it trimmed all the way up. It might work, we'll see. I don't want to add power because then I'm just going to go faster, which we don't want that. But as the nose drops down, the airspeed should increase and she should start pulling back up on us. I'm going to try and shoot right through these little trees here. If I had a more powerful trim tab, then I would be able to trim the nose up. You know, like in the 150, the trim tab is probably 3 times the size that it is in this thing. All right, so I may need to flare here. Oh no, yeah, the trees are coming right at us. I'm going to pull back. So that would have been a rough landing. See if we can do a wheel landing here. Oh, there we go. Get her back on center line. So that wouldn't have worked too well if I didn't have the use of my elevator because we would have plowed into the ground. Well, I would have added power and we would have gone around and then we would have figured something else out. So we would not have plowed into the ground if that was an actual scenario where I didn't have the use of my elevator. All right, that's all for this one. See you next time, folks. We're going around. Nevada County Traffic, Super Chief is going around 25. All right, let's get that trim out of there. I should try one of these without using the rudders, but that just feels like it wouldn't be smooth flying. Subscribe to my channel here. And come along for the next ride. I'm gonna go fly over a lake.